नमस्कार, प्रणाम। परम आदरणीय प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ आवर फंक्शन श्री नारायण भाई देसाई, ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर एग्रीकल्चर श्री दिलीप भाई संघानी जी, श्री सुदर्शन आयंगर वाइस चांसलर ऑफ गुजरात विद्यापीठ, श्री अश्विन भाई श्रॉफ, मैनेजिंग ट्रस्टी एंड चेयरमैन ऑफ श्रॉफ ग्रुप ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज, श्रीमती मंदाबेन, श्री अभय कोठारी and Shri Parikshit ji, Devetia ji, all the distinguished key speakers and research scholars who have come today, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and privilege for me today to introduce the basic concept of this our conference, Global Warming, Agriculture, Sustainable Development and Public Leadership. The common definition of sustainable development is the pattern of natural resource use that aims to meet human needs while preserving the environment so that these needs can be met not only in the present but also in indefinite future. But in the context of developing nations, it has a different meaning and has very well-known implication. It is a long-term activity. It has a both socio and economic content. It involves use of natural resources. It implies economic growth. What I am now mentioning is very important for all of us who are sitting here. It means provide enough to what one needs in order to live or exist for all citizens of a country or nation. It also implies to continue to have that without becoming less. Third, it envisages and includes gradual growth in income of all these participants and increase in its size. It endeavors to provide a better quality of life. It further involves development of wealth of an area, people and society, or for that matter of the country. It has a focus on poor families and remote areas. The focus of this conference is therefore promotion of sustainable development which caters to poor, particularly of rural area, whose main occupation is agriculture, either as a cultivator or as an agriculture laborer, and who are under threat due to impact of global warming. Global warming is a phenomenon which has alarmed us everybody. It is seen as a reciprocating response by nature to the activities undertaken by civilizations over a period of time. Global warming is due to increase in emissions of several gases such as CO2 56%, methane 12%, NO2, CFC, etc. Several efforts are being made to reduce carbon emissions through inventions in technology, process, and reduction in energy consumption and use of natural resources. Agriculture, which occupies majority of people in developing world, has become insecure due to unpredictable weather, a consequence of global warming. But most often, its ability to assimilate CO2 and release oxygen through process of photosynthesis is forgotten. And at national and international level, it is not given due weightage in policies for combating global warming. The nature has 5 important forces: the sky, atmosphere, sun, earth, water, and vegetation. These forces are interdependent. They maintain balance and equilibrium of nature. Its appropriate use generates basic resources of livelihood which sustain the habitat and sustainable development. They are responsible for different seasons round the year, the weather cycle that is known as climate. Overuse of one or improper use of another affects its balance. For example, overdrawal of underground water leads to salinity ingress and advancement of desert. Overuse of fossil fuel leads to excess discharge of gases that affects balance of heat absorption in the atmosphere and generates extra heat. Its inequitable use leads to social and political instability. Whenever nature's balance or equilibrium of its forces is disturbed, it affects weather cycle, resulting into climate change, which most often causes natural calamities. In the modern days, this is called global warming due to greenhouse effect. World over, there are increasing number of natural disasters, which are everyday breaking news. The intensity and impact of such natural disasters are more grave than what it used to be in last millennium. This has a direct impact on social sustainable livelihood, particularly in rural area where agriculture is affected. There is increase in emission of gases, as I mentioned, due to following: increase in global population, increase in middle income group of developing world who have increased their demand for equipment using energy and emanating gases, increasing transport vehicle, increase in transportation due to better infrastructure, increase in industrialization and urbanization. These are also reasons, somewhat reasons for increase in demand for food. The only known technology which can absorb the main component of the gas, that is CO2, is agriculture through photosynthesis process. While no data is available about reduction of vegetative cover, and due to that reduction in absorption of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen, the agriculture vegetative cover is increasingly getting reduced due to following reasons: increase in urbanization, increase in industrialization, increase in fallow agricultural land due to farmers' migration to urban centers for better and assured livelihood and income, and increase in soil salinity and soil erosion along with untimely or reduced rainfall or floods resulting into crop failures. This is also a main reason for decline in production of food crops, a challenge of food security to many parts of the world where food riots are taking place. It is necessary to balance the nature's forces through absorption of CO2 from atmosphere with focus on agriculture as a strategy for mitigating global warming. There are vast areas of uncultivable wasteland, fallow agricultural land, margin areas of desert, which can be fruitfully and rapidly brought under agriculture and vegetation cover by modern technology with the help of knowledge economy. This will simultaneously provide gainful employment and livelihood to poor people. There is also need for agriculture research in new areas to know quantum of absorption of CO2 by different agricultural vegetative species, to understand impact of increased temperature on agriculture crops and needed crop management, to develop cropping pattern based on soil and moisture analysis. There is need to study how CO2 emanations content can be reduced from current cultivation practices adopted in crops like rice, and how to propagate community biogas plant with vermicompost beds to reduce release of methane by cow dung. India has second largest arable land in the world. India's average yield per hectare in major crops like paddy, wheat, cereal, soya is below international average. Except in cotton, where Gujarat in particular, we have achieved the highest yield and have reached international level, we can reach for other crops at same level. And if that happens, that can happen with joint efforts of farmers, university, NGOs and government, an increase in such yield can create a win-win situation. Moreover, more than 130 million of hectares of wasteland we have that can be brought under vegetation cover. The global warming, which is a threat, can be converted into an opportunity, and India can provide a path, a way to meet the challenge of food security. Unfortunately, international deliberation in this issue do not consider agriculture as an important tool to mitigate global warming. It is therefore necessary that international development agencies realize that agriculture is key to restore balance in natural forces, and the major role in this can be played by developing countries. The global warming is a threat, but it can be converted into an opportunity. It can create a win-win situation of all when efforts are channelized into sustainable development with agriculture as its center. The unique aspect of this initiative is that it is a bottom-up approach at grassroots level and uses modern technology adapted to local needs. The International School of Public Leadership, which is promoted by Professor Nathu Puri, an UK-based Indian entrepreneur, has conducted more than 200 programs for competence building of existing leaders from the village level and above, as well as for students, the future generation. During interaction with participants at local level, it was revealed that they are aware of impact of climate change and global warming, but are not aware what specific role they can play. The same thoughts and dilemma were voiced by many other members of public governance system. Therefore, key to meet the challenge of global warming is leadership, which has to become motivated and committed, and for promotion of sustainable development, it needs to be prepared to meet this challenge through community education. The leadership at all levels, village, taluka, district, state and center, needs to be ignited and motivated to focus on farmer. This includes all our elected representatives and non-elected leaders like owner, entrepreneurs, managing director of companies, NGOs, civil center, servants, judiciary, the village level workers to taluka development officer to collectors, educational leaders, the teachers, the research scientists, and of course future generation, the spiritual leaders and international organization. It is necessary to bring out hidden capacity of human beings and mobilize all available resources, including those of government, industry and voluntary organization. With people's participation and local leadership, transformation can be brought about for sustainable development that ensure that every individual has enough to live on and has opportunity to grow. The leadership qualities in the future generation and also in education leaders needs to be aroused to promote this further. That is why we have invited the eminent management guru, Sri Narayan Guruji, to inspire participants to realize their own leadership abilities. The challenge of poverty and global warming many a times seem to be unsurmountable. But in reality, it is not so. It requires determined minds and persistent efforts to overcome these challenges. If all of us act together with a common goal in mind, there will be all-around prosperity despite adverse impact of global warming. It is in this background, the objective of this conference is to lay a new path. During these 3 days, there are more than 70 research papers which will be deliberated under guidance of some very distinguished persons, the research scientists, the jurists, the economists, the management gurus, and persons who have spent their entire life in rural development to make entire effort to produce tangible, practicable ideas which can be implemented, which can perhaps include following: comprehensive reality check on existing facility and need-based assessment in this regard, to develop capacity building modules for existing leaders and future generation, to look at empirical evidence to understand the change that is taking place, and to develop solutions to mitigate the adverse situation based on research and existing successful experience in India and abroad, to document capabilities, particularly leadership capabilities, to foster need-based response, to suggest a policy framework and project, including research projects for these at village, district, state, central and international level. We can transform the adversity posed by climate change as an opportunity to develop and implement sustainable agriculture practices for the benefit of poor in particular and society at large. Our beloved Mahatma Gandhi once said that a person's true character is how he behaves when he is alone. This implies need to follow one's own conscience and exhibit value of justice, equity and righteousness in action. Leadership is about right action and not loud rhetoric. Let us come together at this juncture and act to sustain development. Jai Hind. Thank you.